I did not know that herding cats could be so organized. I want to introduce to you Owen and Lauren Mitchell. I'm going to have you stand up so everybody can see you together as a couple.
Okay, sorry.
All right. There we go. All right. I appreciate that. He taught us hugs for 2 days, so he figured he better put one more in on emphasis. They have worked with Marriage Dynamics Institute in Franklin, Tennessee since 1998, and they have encouraged thousands of married couples to love each other better than they have in the past. In addition to that, they are facilitator training leaders for seminars to equip couples in the dynamic marriage and united enrichment classes. Okay, their whole life is built around helping marriages survive the day-to-day struggles. And what we want to thank you for is that you have done a great job for us this weekend. We want to say thank you to Lauren for being a great helpmeet and in helping us as well. They're from Eustis, Florida. They attend the Orange Avenue Church of Christ, and Owen is spending his life giving people hope about marriage. So Owen, come encourage us a little more.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm hoping this, okay, yeah, this mic is on. That's great. So we are from Florida, but we have loved being in Wichita. You have a phenomenal place. We had no idea. We're thinking about maybe having a home here at some point because we loved our time here so much. We were over at a place called Chicken and Pickle yesterday. Anybody been to Chicken and Pickle? I'm kind of a participation guy. Sorry, I get you to raise your hand sometime. That place is crazy. So we went over because we're pickleballers. We wanted to hit some, but guess what? No courts. But we would wait till we saw an empty court that someone was leaving and sneak in there. So I think we got about 45 minutes and we didn't pay anything. Sorry about that. Someone else had paid for that court, but we were sneaking in on their time. But crazy family place. If you haven't been there, it's a great place, it looks like, to take family, eat, do things. So yeah, love being here. We fly back to Florida this afternoon, but we've loved being here at East Point. You guys have been fabulous. So my first slide kind of gets me to where I want to go here. Yep, I'm on red, but now I'm on green. Proverbs 3:27 says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act. Give honor to whom honor is due." If you came yesterday or Friday or did childcare or help with food, any of the above, would you stand, please? Just stand for a moment. Everybody stand. That was part of the weekend, help with childcare, any of those things. Okay, you're a little reluctant. You don't really like standing. I get that. But let's give this group a hand. Yeah. I like to say this group sent a nice message, not only to their spouse, but to the entire group, that we all kind of basically hopped in the same boat and did something together, and we grew from it. And the more that we can get in the boat with each other to do things, the more that we can grow. I have some specific people that were just super helpful this weekend that I just don't want to go. I want the audience to know how much help they were. John, Mercedes, Jamie, Jared. I don't think Jill was at our seminar, but she did so many things for us as secretary. I kept giving her things at the last moment, and she was just doing a great job with that. Your staff, and basically a phenomenal representation of your elders, which I'm going to believe a lot of the times these guys, they don't really want to come to those type of events, but hey, they knew it was the right message to send. So I appreciate your preacher coming to that event. That means so much to us. We go to a lot of events and elders don't show up, preacher doesn't show up, but they send a great message by showing up. So I just want to really honor those people and thank you so much for inviting us here. So our next slide to kind of get us going. Successful marriages is personal to Lauren and I. We have a family now of 8, so our children have married 14 years ago. We have 2 grandchildren, Judah and Apollo, but it's one of our motivating factors for our ministry is that we want to be a good example to our children and our grandchildren. I've learned this in my relationship with my son and daughter-in-law. I go to them a lot and say, how's my son treating you? How's my daughter treating you? Because I'm wanting to send them the message, I'm on their side, right? I want them to be able to come to me and say, hey, it might not be going, we got a little bump in the road. Because we talked this week, over here we had so many of the children's names on this wall during the weekend because of our responsibility of our example to those children. So successful marriages is personal to us. Let's keep rolling. So our first slide, we're going to talk about today purposeful conversations. Purposeful conversations. John, when I asked him about speaking today, I said, what do you want me to talk on? He said, maybe something that's marriage related. And I realized if I only talk about something that's marriage related, that's eliminating some of our group. So our lesson today is going to be geared toward couple conversation, but you're going to find, even if you're single, some of these principles are going to ring true to you. In your bulletin today, I think there was at least one outline that was put in there. It gives you something that you can follow along with. I'm a crazy speaker that believes that I want you to have a takeaway anytime I get up and say something. And I know that doesn't always happen. We listen to a lot of things, and sometimes it gets a little bit gray as the day goes on. But I'm hoping by you writing some things down, there'll be some things that you can make, I call it changes in. So I'd like to read a little bit of a clip from each one of these 6 different things, because I think we can learn things from conversations that Jesus had. So I'm just going to go kind of down the line and read a small clip from each one of these. Scott Hawley did a great job in class today, and actually we talked about this very first one, the woman at the well. So I'm in John 4. Here a little clip. The woman said, I know that Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. Jesus spoke to a crippled man. Do you want to get well? Sounds like a kind of a crazy question. Sir, the invalid replied, I have no one to help me get into the pool when the water is stirred. When I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me. Jesus said to him, get up, pick up your mat and walk. The rich ruler, Matthew 19, Jesus answered, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. The demon-possessed man, Jesus told the demon-possessed, go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has mercy on you. Jairus in Mark 5. When Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead, they said. Why bother the teacher anymore? Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, don't be afraid, just believe. Finally, the scripture that was read this morning, adulterous woman in John 8. Jesus straightened up and asked her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? No one, sir. Then neither do I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go now and leave your life of sin. So we a lot of times think of Jesus teaching big groups of people, and he did. But if you go back and read through the Gospels, so much of it was one-on-one conversation, one-on-one purposeful conversation that we can learn things from. We're going to look at some of the principles this morning. Let's look at a couple of slides before we get to that. I don't know about you, but I have asked myself over and over again when I read about idol worship in the Old Testament, don't we tend to say, I would never do that. Y'all agree with me there? I would never build a golden calf and worship it. It just seems so foreign. But I realize sometimes our priorities do change. You know, we look at this nice couple, maybe from the 50s, they're having this nice family meal with each other, and some of you hopefully are still doing that, but sometimes our priorities change where our family time is not the same. Yeah, so our brother that gave communion, he really laid it out there, didn't he? He's already setting up my slide. Our idols have changed. Maybe we think it's crazy that we would worship a golden calf. But sometimes, hey, which phone should I use now? Or what's the next thing I do with my phone? Or can I put my phone up for 2 hours and not have a withdrawal symptom? Keep going. Our communication has changed. And sometimes we don't communicate in the right way. So let's go into our lesson a little bit. I'm at basically kind of middle of the road here at the top of the outline. I'll tell a little bit of a story. Sometimes communication is difficult with couples. We had a couple that was going to a marriage counselor, and they were both going together, and the counselor kept trying to explain to the man his wife's deep need for more affection in their relationship. And maybe on the third or fourth trip they were there, the guy just wasn't getting it. So the counselor took a little more proactive turn. He walked over, he reached over to the woman, and he gave her a big kiss on the lips, big lip lock, right on this guy's wife. And he said to the husband, "Sir, your wife needs that 3 times a week." And the guy said, "No problem. I'll bring her by here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday." Sometimes communication can be difficult. My lesson today is a lot of John Gottman's material. So if you've read some of John Gottman, this may sound familiar to you. I've just kind of like took some of his things and tried to put it into good content. We believe that if you will take time to have purposeful conversation in your relationship, you can move forward in a good way. So we're going to give you some principles for that. Do we have purposeful conversation? So if you're following along on your outline, number 1, first, we have to schedule a time for stress-reducing conversation. Use it to inform, understand each other. The reason we say schedule, this is very important. It says that when you're dating, some of you remember when you're dating? Everybody remember when you're dating? Raise your hand, thank you. Wow, that's a long time ago, isn't it? We know that couple, they've been married, 54 years? Okay, gotcha, I remember that from yesterday. All right, 54 years. But they remember when they were dating. It says that we communicate 15 hours per week when we're dating. So we got going, we're calling on the phone, we're meeting, we're going on these nice dates, things are moving forward. Roll it forward, you get married. Child number 1, child number 2. For some of you now, I know child number 5. And communication slows down to, they say, 15 minutes per week of meaningful conversation. Not get bread when you come home. Guess what your child did today? Not that. That's not meaningful conversation. So that's why we say schedule a time. Lauren and I are empty nested. But we schedule a time each day to talk. Usually sometime between 5 and 6:30, we're both kind of getting home. We have a place that we go to, and we schedule that time so we can at least find out what each other has done that day. Number 2, 20 to 30 minutes each day is our goal. Now, I know that's not 15 hours, but we've learned we start with small bites. So 20 to 30 minutes per day of that conversation gets us something that we can build our relationship on. Number 1 in here, and this is important, 10 to 15 minutes per person. 10 to 15 minutes per person. If I said this term that some of you have more words than others, would that ring a bell with you? I'm part of a family that we actually have to go rescue people sometime. So we'll see somebody over in the corner with maybe Aunt Mary and say, okay, hey, yeah, somebody go get them. Because Aunt Mary has captured them, right? And we know they're not going to be able to get away from Aunt Mary because she's got a lot of words to say. So some of you are in relationships, whether it's talking with somebody that you're friends with or your spouse, they have more words than you do. So here's where you have to balance that conversation and say, okay, almost keep a timer even. You go first, because we don't want someone to have 28 minutes and the other person to have 2. Even in your own individual conversations, we have to learn to be that good listener and not wanting to get our own point in. We're going to watch a video that I think brings forth my next point. We showed this yesterday, but this is a video I can watch 100 times. If we can give this some good volume, the first thing the lady says, she's sitting on a couch, and she says this statement, there's all this pressure. So here we go.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my...
Okay, I'm going to let that... Cut back on. I'm going to let that sit. This slide is very applicable to my relationship with Lauren. It goes to our next point. I'll give you the word. So we said 10 to 15 minutes per person. Wait to give advice until ask, just listen. Wait to give advice. We can probably use this in all our conversations, not just with our spouse. My first job out of college, I was a youth minister, but then I took on a job as a manager. And at times I would have 10 employees up to 90 employees that I would go and tell what to do each day, give lists out, check it out in the rest of the day. And I learned this. I started treating Lauren like an employee, right? Because I go home and I know what I want done, right? Does any man ever know what to do right off the bat, and they want to hey, I know how to solve this. I'm a problem solver. We got any problem-solving men in the audience? Okay, good. Thank you for, some of you didn't raise your hand, but I believe you want to solve problems. So sometime I'll go to Lauren and say something like this. Now, honey, are you wanting me to just listen to what you have to say? Are you actually asking me, help you solve this? So I just state that off the bat. And if I realize she don't want me to solve it, and I take my position of I'm going to listen it out. And then maybe she may say, what do you think? And when she says, what do you think? Then, hey, I think you should do this. And I'm just ready to solve that problem. In our conversation, what are we trying to accomplish? Don't give advice unless somebody asks for it. Number 3, show genuine interest, stay focused. One of the words we use during our weekend, if you want to write this down also in your outline, it's a term we've learned undivided attention. Guess what? We're not very good at giving undivided attention, are we? Even in our church service sometime, I might be talking to Scott, okay? I'm over here talking to Scott, but I really want to talk to John, and Scott's telling me something, Scott, but I'm cutting my eyes because I really want to go here and I want to talk to John. But what message am I sending to Scott? Hey, you're really not that important to me. John is who's important to me. Do any of us ever do that? Where we're like trying to do one thing, but we're sending this other message to another. We can end up doing that with our spouse, right? So we have to just sit back, listen, not be distracted, right? I've learned this. I can't have my phone in my hand and have a good, meaningful conversation with Lauren. Got to put that up. I can't be in the TV room. Anybody ever tried to watch ESPN Sports Center at a 16-degree angle while they're talking to their spouse? I've tried that a lot. It doesn't work. I mean, in other words, I end up like my focus ends up going away from what I'm really trying to accomplish. So I have to give my spouse undivided attention. Number 4, communicate that you understand, and the key word here is empathize. I don't always agree with what my spouse is saying, but I want to be empathetic toward and feel the way she's feeling about it, even though I don't understand it sometimes. I want to solve it, but I want to try to empathize with it. Number 5, take my spouse's side. Wow, this is tough sometimes because guess what? Everything your spouse says, you might not agree with. They may be telling you something about a relationship down at work, or they may be telling you something about even one of the kids. We have to learn to do this. We have to be a team, right? If you're a parent and your children think, I can get one result from mom, but if I really want to get a different result, I can go to dad. They already got that down. They know that. That's why it's important that we're on each other's side. I used to say to my kids, if they came to me and asked me something, have you asked your mother yet? Yeah, I did. What'd she say? She said no. I said, well, you've already gotten your answer. Don't come back to me and ask me the same question, because we are a team. We're on each other's side. We're supporting each other. Number 6, express a we against others attitude. That's even from Genesis 2:18. We're in this together. We're going to do this together. Number 7, express affection. Give positive words of love. So if I'm having conversation, I'm just going to step down, sorry about that, and John's telling me something, but I can just like do that. What message did I just send to you, John?
That you're listening.
I'm listening. There's something about the physical touch that just says, you're important to me. I'm not going to start talking. I may just like lay my hand on his arm or just show appreciation to what he's saying. So we've basically expressed that affection in a positive way, words of love or words of support, if you would, if this is a conversation with a friend. Number 8, validate your spouse's emotion. Let them know that you see why they feel the way they do. Doesn't mean you're always going to agree. We're not going to agree with everything our spouse says or what one of our friends says, but we try to validate what they say. So let's look at a few scripture. Go forward here a little bit. Wisdom from Proverbs. Make a few examples and then we'll kind of close our lesson out. He who guards his lips guards his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. I have kind of a 3-point on that scripture. Number 1, I choose my words carefully. Choose my words carefully. I'll give a couple examples from my father-in-law, who's passed away, and my mother-in-law passed away also. They had this loving relationship, but they could really kid each other in a pretty good way. And he used to say something like this. Her name was Martha. Martha, you got your brain in neutral, but your mouth is in drive. So sometimes I'm guilty of that too. I speak before really I've thought it through, right? I didn't really contain my words. Secondly, we use sarcasm sometimes. That may work in your relationship. That might work in your relationship. It doesn't work in mine. If I throw out a sarcastic statement, Lauren, that just ticks her off. So I've learned I don't use any sarcasm. She doesn't use any sarcasm with me. It may work in your own relationship, but if you see that's detrimental, if you see you're not getting a good result with that, stop using sarcasm. Finally, we got to watch our nonverbal. Oh my goodness. Roll those eyes. Give just a painful look like, what are you doing? Why did you say that? We speak so much volume by the things that we don't say sometimes. We have to watch our nonverbal. A gentle answer, number 2, turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up things. We have this principle that we talk about, the first 15. First 15 just means the first 15 minutes you're home. Some of you may be part of a household that has a stay-at-home mom, maybe or maybe not. And all of a sudden the husband's come home from work, he's tired, he's used up all his words, right? He's been gone all day, but the wife, all she's had all day is like children talk all day long. And she's wanting conversation. What do we convey in that first 15 minutes? Gentlemen, we're going to have to step up on that. Or maybe it's just the opposite. Maybe the guy's been home all day and the wife comes in. We have to make a decision to make that first 15 good. Number 3, he who answers before listening, that is his folly and his shame. We don't interrupt, right? When someone's speaking, we let them finish what they're saying. I know our brain's working really fast and we just can't wait to make that point. We're ready to do it. But we sit back, we discipline ourselves, right? We discipline ourselves not to interrupt. And finally, he who guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself from calamity. My father-in-law also used to say this occasionally. He would walk into a room. Again, my mother-in-law's name was Martha. He'd have this is back in the portable phone days, right? Portable phone. He'd walk in with the portable phone and say, Martha, someone wants to listen to you. Because she was a big talker, right? We have to learn to guard our mouth and our tongue. So let's close out with a couple of things here. Sharing non-judgmentally. Sharing non-judgmentally. If I said this statement, we need to tell the truth when we're talking to someone, whether it's our spouse or an individual. Everybody would go, of course we need to tell the truth. We're all going to agree with that, but yet sometime we become protective liars, right, by not telling things. And I like to say, we allow our spouse to be honest. We got to allow our spouse to be honest. And the way we do that is 2 words, react, attack. React, attack. If every time your spouse is going to tell you something and it's the truth, you have this big reaction, you're mad at them, it's their truth, what are they going to do the next time they have some truth that they want to tell you? What are they going to do? They're not going to tell you, right? They're going to hold that in because they don't want to be criticized in that way. So we don't interrupt. We accept that this is their reality. And on your outline, we try to find a way to produce a win-win, right? We're not always going to like what our spouse has to tell us. But if we react and attack them, they're not going to want to tell us the truth again. Our last line, and then we'll close out. Times to avoid serious conversation. So we have a word there, acronym. It's on the back of your page if you want to flip over. It's called HALT, H-A-L-T. It's an easy thing to remember. Number 1, don't have a serious conversation when you're hungry. You know, there's a reason they have that commercial where the guy says, hey, you need a Snickers bar, right? Because we just don't function sometime well when we're hungry. So let's make sure we're fed before we start trying to have a serious conversation, or we're going to have bad reaction. Number two, when we're angry. Well, I know that goes without saying, hey, I'm angry, I want to talk about it, but better to have calm down. Sometime I might say to Lauren, hey, I think I'm going to go walk around the block for a moment, and let me think about the next words out of my mouth. Or I might go like run a mile or whatever, because it changes me to think about what I'm going to say next. Number three, don't have conversation when you're lonely. We just have days that we have the blues, right? Things aren't going our way. That may not be the time to have a serious conversation. And finally, don't have a serious conversation when you're tired. Now, that may go against some principle that some of you have been doing before. Some people say, I'm not going to go to sleep till I resolve this argument. That doesn't work for me, because I've got to have my sleep before I can actually solve something to go away. So I'm not saying that if that doesn't work for you and you want to stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and work something out, I want to sleep on it and then work it out the next day. Talk about it when I'm not tired. So I'm willing to actually, we talked about yesterday, having a small mini withdrawal. I'm going to withdraw, think about that, sleep on it, then let's come back and try to solve the problem. We closed out one of our sessions yesterday by getting couples that had been married a long time to give us advice. And we took that from, I think, like 5 or 6 different people yesterday, which was really good to hear their perspective on long-term relation. Last story. I had this happen at one of our seminars where I asked an older couple the same question. And the man gave this particular answer. He said, well, when we got married, we decided that my wife would make all the little decisions and I would make all the big decisions. And I said, oh, that sounds like a good, but I asked the next question. I said, can you tell me about some of the big decisions that you made? He said, you know, there was never any big decisions, which told me a little bit about their relationship. I'm hoping that you will take some of these principles, not only in your marriage, but just in your individual conversation with people, and you'll have more purposeful conversation. We're going to sing a song. If there's people here that want to receive Jesus, come forward at that time. If there's people here that want to confess things, that maybe something's going on in your life, whatever your response is, if you wanted to be baptized, if you want to come forward and talk with one of the elders, we have that opportunity while we stand and while we sing.